Sometimes you just need a break from reality. And whether it be video games or board games, or in today's case, a tabletop RPG. Now, there are lots of RPGs to choose from, whether if you want to go super fantasy, or if you want to go modern post-apocalyptic, or how about sci-fi? So let's look at a game today. This is the starter set for Faith, a Garden in Hell. So in the starter set, you're going to get this box, but first of all, let me show you some of the fantastic art that is on this box. This game has won many awards for its art, and it is absolutely fantastic and gorgeous. If this doesn't make you want to pull it off the shelf just to see what it's all about, I don't know what would. And the back here shows you some more of the fantastic art and some of the stuff that you'll be getting inside the box. And 2 to 5 players, 14 and up. Actually, would suggest at least 3 players. So that way you have a DM and 2 character players. But let's go ahead and slide open this box. We can't quite crack it open because this is one of those slide boxes. And we're losing everything here. So, first thing you're going to see is your GM outline. So whoever is going to be the game master of this game, this is going to be their little Bible and document of how to track everything. So this tells you a little bit about some of the basic rules of the game that you'll really want to know about. And then here is where you're going to be able to go through the entire adventure that is inside this box. And you'll be able to check off certain things, and this tells you which missions can be reoccurring and which places that you might have to go back. Some tracking things if you have to keep track of stuff like that, and your entire progress of the game. Then you're going to have 4 pre-gen characters. The rulebook itself does have instructions on how to create your own character, but these 4 pre-gen characters are going to give you a lot of the flavor that's already in the game. So you have the name of your character and a little bit of background about them, and just telling you a little synopsis about them so you can decide who you want to be, and then a full-on background of who they are. So we have Jengala, we have Skid, we have Kina, and then we have Roadblock, who actually looks really awesome. Now inside each of these is going to have what you'd find in a typical RPG book. So this is going to tell you what their race is. So Roadblock here, he is a Rog race, and it tells you a little bit about the stuff, upgrades that he can get. And also then it'll tell you about their religion, because, well, a game called Faith, it does have a big emphasis on the religion that each of the characters will follow. So you'll see what the commandments are of the religion and different things that you can do. And on the back will be your standard sheet. So this will tell you all of your stats. So you have your agility, constitution, dexterity, faith, link, and mind. And then some of your skills down here. And then your upgrades, and you'll be able to track your experience and everything right there on that sheet right out of the box. You don't have to worry about building a character if you don't want to in the very beginning of the game. Next thing you're going to get is you're going to get a full rule book here. Now this is going to be enough to get you through this campaign, and if you want to start building your own, you can. So again, beautiful art inside this book, and it's going to give you just the basics of how to play the game, how to go through all the different aspects of how this game works. So if you have some basic RPG knowledge, you'll be able to apply that here, and you'll be able to go ahead and learn the ins and outs of this system as well. Then it also goes into the different faiths as well, and in the back here there's a blank character sheet, and then again telling you how to create your own character if you so chose to. And then a nice index on the back, which is very helpful. Next thing you will find will be the campaign book. Now, this will be for the DM, and the DM's eyes only. This will actually walk the DM through the entire campaign of the Garden in Hell. So, just to tell you a little bit about what the Garden in Hell is your team have crash landed onto this alien planet, and your team has to collect themselves and figure out just exactly what happened, who shot them down, because, yep, they were shot down, spoiler, and go on the adventure of this going on the adventure of this planet, excuse me, and trying to figure out how to get off the planet and possibly complete their mission. So, this book is laid out in a very clear way, especially for me, because I've never GM'd a game before, but I found this book very easy to follow, and it's laid out in a very good way, so that way you will be able to follow along and guide your players along as you play the game. Some awesome maps. I absolutely love this one. So, and again, a nice index on the back of there, so you need to look something up, you can. Next thing we'll see these large cards here. So these are some large baddies that the GM will be able to throw at players at certain parts of the game. And these will have all of their stats on them. And then it'll have some info and stats and stuff on the back. So it'll have a little description and a little bit more of what's going on with those characters. So you can see some of the art here. Carnivorous Grove, that's terrifying. And it is a... So. And then Floating Spores, that's horrible. So, again, beautiful, beautiful artwork in this game. Next thing you will find is a gear and NPC deck. So, rather than wasting the space in the book for this beginner's guide, for all of the gear and stuff, you're going to have some handy cards. So that way you'll be able to hand them out to players when they have a specific item. So for example, we have this Viro Blade, and it has all of its stats right there, so you can tell if it has a 0 grapple and the 3 hit. Some nice artwork here. And it tells you some of the information on the back here, and it also gives you some nice stats about how much it weighs and what it's made out of and everything. So you have all the different guns and possible things that you can use in the game. So different med station, symbiote suit, frag grenades, because who doesn't want a frag grenade? So different suits and just different things that you can possibly have in the game. Well, there are also a few NPC cards, because these might be able to join you on your adventure. So you can have a Docbot, or you can have a Disciple. And again, information on the back, but again, look at that beautiful artwork. And then also for the GM to use, he will have, instead of a monster manual, he will just have all of these enemy cards here. So, for example, the Beetle Boar, which is one of the first enemies that you'll be coming up against. So it shows you all the information on there, their physical and mental stats and everything, and of course a little info on the back. So that way you can see some of the uglies that you would possibly be going up against. Lots of bugs and lots of a bloodhound. That's just terrifying. So, lots of really cool things. Now, one thing that makes Faith absolutely unique and really, really cool is that there are no dice in this game. Players do not need to bring their polyhedral sets to the table. What they actually could bring is their own deck of standard poker cards. So, if you wanted to play that way, where everybody has their own deck, everybody will bring their own poker cards. Otherwise, they do have this beautiful custom deck for the game, which this is the one I recommend, but if everybody wants to play with their own, they can actually bring their own standard deck. Now, these are just absolutely gorgeous, beautifully illustrated. Every single one is different, but this is essentially a standard deck of cards that go, well, ace through king, but the if you can see, like, there's a 12 there, so not 12 in a normal deck. This is actually one of the lettered cards there. And it has the different suits with the different symbols, because each character can have an affinity for a different symbol, and that'll give them advantage if they use specific cards during an event. So these are absolutely gorgeous. And then normally something that you would almost always discard would be Joker cards. Well, Joker cards are something that are very important to the GM. The Joker cards actually kind of trump anything that the players can possibly do. And that's one thing, if everybody's playing with their own decks, you give your Jokers to the GM, because they are going to be the ones who have all of the Jokers. So if everybody brings their own decks, that's kind of how it balances everything out, because you're going to have a higher likelihood of getting more of the higher cards. Therefore, you give your Jokers to the GM, and they'll have a little bit more balance for the game. So let's flip back around, and I will tell you a little bit more about Faith.
This program is part of the Pathological Nerdcasters Network. Find more at pncn.online, where all the geeks come to play.
So you may be asking, how do I use a deck of cards when I'm playing a RPG game? Well, how this one works is that if you look at Roadblock's sheet here, which I'm going to show you right now on camera, you're going to see the different numbers that they have available to them. Every player is going to start off with a certain number of cards in their hand. So, as is the GM. The GM is going to have a certain number of cards. So these are the only cards that you're going to get until you take a rest. So this is all that you have. So you might have some high cards, you might have some low cards, and you got to decide when you want to use those. So normally, if there's something that your character can do, and your character is able to do it, and you can prove to the GM that, oh yes, my character would be able to do this, you succeed. The only time that the cards really come into play is if something is confronted. So a confronted action might be, a player might say, I'm going to shoot that guy over there. Well, then the GM will be like, okay, well, that guy can see you, so he's going to try to shoot back at you. Thus begins a confrontation. So everybody's going to look at the skill that is required. So I'm actually going to use the ballistic. He has a ballistic of 4. So that means he can use 4 cards to try to succeed at that. So he decides what cards he wants to use. And let's just say this is a pretty prime target. So he is going to throw down some cards there. And then the GM is going to throw down cards equal to the ballistic power of the character that's doing the action. So they always have an equal amount. And you're going to add up the total plus the value of the skill and see who the winner is. And just remember, the GM has jokers, which jokers will kind of trump everything, which will make it very interesting. So if you fail, certain things can happen. There are things where you can crit succeed at something, which means you double the value of what your opponents had. And there's even a way to, like, super crit. I forget what that one is called, but it's even to, I believe, triple the value. So you can go up even higher, which is absolutely crazy for something that you can do in a game. But that is a little bit about how the cards work. Overall, the campaign is very, very well written. It is very intriguing, and there's a lot of interesting quirks and stuff that happens that can surprise the players that are playing in this campaign. So if this looks like something that you would enjoy, this is something that I recommend, especially if you're looking for a new style RPG. If everybody's kind of a little bit bored, they're kind of tired of the fantasy fantasy worlds and are looking for something more, and they want maybe something sci-fi, I would actually definitely look into this. If not, you have some beautiful artwork to just look at and peruse. And sometimes I just kind of like reading rule books for RPGs because they're just fascinating about how the people build these worlds and how they make them function and everything. But this set is available. Also, there is a brand new Kickstarter that is out, and this is for a 2.0 rule book for the World of Faith. It is a beautiful hardbound book that is going to be coming out. You can also pledge for the decks of cards. You can add those on, so that way you'll have all those available. I believe there are some extra decks available, so they have even more stuff that you can throw into the world. So Faith is definitely high on my list for RPGs. It doesn't quite trump, some of the champions like Dungeons and Dragons, but this is definitely a really, really fun alternative to those different worlds. If you want to try something new, I definitely suggest checking out Faith. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and help support Cloak and Meeple. Right over there, you can go ahead and click on the Patreon link to help support this channel. Anything that you can donate is greatly appreciated. Also, you can go ahead and click on my logo to subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit that bell down there when you subscribe down below, because that bell will notify you whenever there's a brand new video of mine posted. And you don't want to miss any of them, because you never know what kind of wacky intro I'll be doing. So, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.